The rain hammered against the gallery windows like bullets, and Olivia Walsh pressed her palm to the cold glass, watching the wealthy patrons scatter to their waiting cars while she stood alone in the empty exhibition hall, wondering how much longer she could pretend her art career was anything more than a beautiful delusion. She had sold exactly 3 paintings in the past year, all to her mother's friends who probably felt sorry for her. The rest of her income came from teaching watercolor classes to retirees at the community center and waiting tables on weekends. At 26, she was starting to think her father had been right when he said art school was a waste of money. "Excuse me, is the gallery still open?" Olivia turned from the window to find a man standing in the doorway, soaked through despite the expensive-looking jacket he wore. Water dripped from his dark hair onto the polished floor, and he had the decency to look apologetic about it. "We closed 10 minutes ago," she said, but something about the way he looked at the paintings on the walls made her add, "But I can give you a few minutes if you want to look around." "Thank you." His smile was genuine, reaching his eyes in a way that made her chest tighten unexpectedly. He was handsome in an understated way, with strong features and kind eyes that seemed too earnest for someone wearing a jacket that probably cost more than her rent. "I'm Isaac Thompson." "Olivia Walsh. I'm one of the featured artists here." She gestured vaguely at the wall where her 3 remaining paintings hung, trying not to sound as desperate as she felt. Isaac walked directly to her work, and Olivia felt her stomach twist with the familiar anxiety that came whenever someone examined what she had created. He stood before her largest piece, a stormy seascape that she had painted during the lowest point of her life, when her father died and left her with nothing but debt and disappointment. "This is remarkable," Isaac said quietly, and she could tell he meant it. "The way you captured the light breaking through the clouds, it feels like hope fighting through despair." "That's exactly what it is." The words escaped before she could stop them, and she felt suddenly vulnerable, as if he could see straight through to all her failures and fears. They talked for over an hour, standing in that empty gallery while the rain continued outside. Isaac asked questions about her process, her inspiration, the stories behind each painting. He did not talk about himself much, mentioning only that he worked in manufacturing and had recently moved to the city. There was something careful about the way he spoke, as if he was used to measuring his words, but his interest in her work seemed entirely genuine. "I would like to buy this one," he said finally, pointing to the seascape, "and these 2 as well." Olivia's heart leaped. Those were her 3 most expensive pieces, totaling nearly $15,000. "Are you serious?" "Completely." Isaac pulled out his wallet, extracting a credit card. "Can you arrange delivery, or should I pick them up?" "I can deliver them myself," Olivia said quickly, already calculating how this sale would buy her at least 6 months of financial breathing room. "Where should I bring them?" Isaac hesitated for just a fraction of a second. "I am staying at the Meridian Apartments on 7th, Unit 412. Would Saturday work?" "Saturday is perfect." As Isaac left that night, Olivia felt something shift inside her chest. It was not just the relief of making a sale. It was the way he had looked at her paintings, really looked at them, and seen what she was trying to say. Saturday arrived bright and clear. The storm washed away to reveal a perfect autumn afternoon. Olivia loaded the paintings carefully into her ancient Honda, driving across town to the Meridian with her heart racing in a way that had nothing to do with the delivery. The Meridian was nice but not extravagant, a mid-range apartment building in a decent neighborhood. Olivia felt oddly relieved. She had been worried Isaac might be some trust fund kid playing at appreciating art, but this felt real. Isaac answered the door in jeans and a faded blue shirt, his hair slightly messy. and Olivia realized with a start that she found him incredibly attractive. He helped her carry the paintings inside, and she noticed that his apartment was sparsely furnished, almost temporary looking. "I just moved here a few weeks ago," Isaac explained, catching her glance. "Still getting settled." "Where did you move from?" "Chicago." "I took a job at a manufacturing plant about 30 miles outside the city. Middle management stuff, nothing exciting." He smiled that genuine smile again. "But I wanted a change of scenery." They hung the paintings together, Isaac insisting on getting her input for placement. When they finished, he made coffee, and somehow Olivia found herself sitting on his worn couch, talking about everything and nothing. He told her about growing up in the Midwest, about his love of architecture and history. She told him about her father, about the weight of trying to make art that mattered when the world seemed determined to ignore it. "Your art does matter," Isaac said seriously. "I can see it in every brushstroke. You are telling stories that need to be told." "You barely know me," Olivia said, but her voice was soft, without defensiveness. "I know your work. That is knowing something real about you." When Olivia left that evening, Isaac asked if she would like to have dinner sometime. She said yes without hesitation. Their first official date was at a small Italian restaurant in Little Italy, the kind of place with checkered tablecloths and candles in wine bottles. Isaac was attentive and funny, asking her questions and actually listening to the answers. He told her more about his job, describing the challenges of managing production lines and dealing with supplier issues. It all sounded perfectly mundane and believable. "You like the work?" Olivia asked, twirling pasta around her fork. "It is different from what I am used to," Isaac admitted. "But I needed different. My old life was becoming suffocating." There was something in his tone that made Olivia curious, but she did not push. Everyone had their secrets, their reasons for starting over. They began seeing each other regularly. Isaac would come to the community center and sit in on her watercolor classes, making terrible attempts at painting that had her students laughing and Olivia's heart swelling with unexpected affection. She would pack sandwiches and meet him during his lunch break, driving out to the industrial park where he worked. She never went inside, but she would see him emerge from the plain concrete building, still in his work clothes, smiling when he spotted her car. 1 month became 2, and Olivia felt herself falling. Isaac was unlike anyone she had dated before. He was thoughtful and present, remembering small details she mentioned in passing. When she complained about her ancient laptop dying, he showed up with a refurbished one, insisting it was just something he had found on sale. When her car broke down, he spent an entire Saturday helping her mechanic figure out the problem, his hands covered in grease, completely unconcerned about ruining his clothes. "You are too good to be true," Olivia said one evening as they walked through the park near her apartment, leaves crunching under their feet. "I am very real," Isaac promised, catching her hand in his. "And I am falling for you, Olivia. I need you to know that." She kissed him then, right there under the amber streetlights with autumn wind whipping around them. It was their first real kiss, and it felt like coming home. Things moved naturally after that. Isaac started staying over at her small studio apartment, bringing groceries and cooking dinners while she painted in the corner she had set up as a workspace. He was careful never to crowd her, never to impose, but Olivia found herself wanting him there more and more. She loved the way he looked at her work with such genuine appreciation, the way he would sit quietly reading while she lost herself in creation, comfortable in the shared silence. "Tell me about your family," Olivia said one night as they lay tangled together in her narrow bed. Isaac was quiet for a long moment. "My parents died when I was young. I grew up with my uncle, but we are not close anymore. I do not have much family to speak of. I am sorry." Olivia pressed closer to him, feeling the steady beat of his heart. "That must have been lonely." "It was," Isaac said quietly, "but I learned to be self-sufficient, maybe too self-sufficient. I am not always good at letting people in. You let me in. You made it impossible not to." He kissed the top of her head. "You are the most genuine person I have ever met, Olivia. Everything about you is real and honest and beautiful." She fell asleep that night feeling happier than she had in years, completely unaware that the foundation of their relationship was built on carefully constructed lies. The truth came crashing down on a Tuesday afternoon in late November. Olivia had driven out to surprise Isaac for lunch, stopping to pick up sandwiches from his favorite deli. But when she pulled into the industrial park, she saw Isaac emerge from the building in a perfectly tailored suit, talking on his phone with the kind of authority she had never heard in his voice before. He walked directly to a sleek black Mercedes that definitely had not been there on previous visits. Olivia sat frozen in her car, watching as Isaac drove away without ever noticing her. Her hands shook on the steering wheel. She went home and did something she had never done before. She Googled Isaac Thompson. The results loaded slowly, each headline hitting her like a physical blow. Isaac Thompson, CEO of Thompson Industries, announces expansion plans. Billionaire Isaac Thompson invests in sustainable manufacturing. Thompson heir takes over family empire at 28, revolutionizes production methods. There were photos of Isaac in expensive suits, standing in front of corporate logos, shaking hands with politicians and celebrities. Articles about his net worth, his business acumen, his mysterious personal life. He was not middle management at a manufacturing plant. He owned the entire company, one of the largest industrial manufacturers in the country. He was not just wealthy. He was a billionaire. Olivia felt sick. Everything was a lie. The modest apartment, the simple clothes, the whole persona of being an ordinary guy trying to make a living. She thought about all the times she had worried about money in front of him. All the times she had paid for cheap dinners because she wanted to contribute. All the times she had felt grateful that he did not seem to care about her struggling artist lifestyle. He must have been laughing at her the whole time. Her phone buzzed with a text from Isaac. "Dinner tonight, I am cooking." Olivia stared at the message, rage and heartbreak warring inside her. She typed back a single word. "No." Isaac showed up at her apartment an hour later, letting himself in with the key she had given him just last week. Olivia was sitting on her couch, her laptop open to one of the articles about him. He stopped in the doorway, his face going pale. "Olivia, is that even your real name?" Her voice was cold, unfamiliar to her own ears. "Or is Isaac Thompson just another lie? It is my real name." Isaac took a step toward her, then stopped when she flinched back. "Everything I told you about myself is true, except for my job and my financial situation." "Except for your job and your financial situation," Olivia repeated incredulously. "You mean except for basically everything? You are not some middle management guy, Isaac. You are a billionaire CEO. You live in the penthouse at the Meridian, do you not? Not Unit 412. "I do," Isaac admitted quietly. "I rented 412 because I did not want to scare me off." Olivia stood up, her hands balling into fists. "You lied to me, for months. You watched me worry about money, watched me work double shifts at the restaurant, watched me stress about making rent, and you said nothing." "I know." Isaac's voice cracked. "I know, and I am sorry, but Olivia, please understand. When I met you that night at the gallery, I was so tired of people wanting me for my money. Every relationship I have ever had has been transactional. Women who wanted access to my wealth, my connections, my status. I never knew if anyone actually cared about me or just what I could give them. So you decided to lie instead. Tears were streaming down Olivia's face now. You decided to build our entire relationship on deception. I decided to be myself. Isaac moved closer, his eyes desperate. Do you not see? The person I was with you, that is who I really am. Not the CEO, not the billionaire. Just a man who loves art and terrible Italian food and the way you scrunch up your nose when you are concentrating on a painting. I never lied about my feelings, Olivia. Not once. How am I supposed to believe anything you say now? Olivia whispered. You bought my paintings. God, you probably paid way too much for them out of pity. I paid exactly what they were worth, Isaac said fiercely. Actually, I paid less than they were worth. Your work is incredible, Olivia. That has nothing to do with my feelings for you. I bought those paintings before I even thought about asking you out when you were just a talented artist whose work moved me. Get out. Olivia turned away from him, wrapping her arms around herself. I cannot look at you right now. Olivia, please, get out. Isaac left, and Olivia collapsed onto her couch, sobbing until she had no tears left. She felt like such a fool. She had fallen completely in love with him, had let herself imagine a future together, and it had all been built on lies. Her phone would not stop buzzing over the next few days. Isaac called and texted constantly, but Olivia ignored every message. She threw herself into her work, painting with a ferocity that surprised her. The canvases that emerged were dark and stormy, full of betrayal and heartbreak. A week after their fight, Olivia's best friend Maya showed up at her apartment with wine and takeout. Maya had heard the whole story and was appropriately outraged on Olivia's behalf. He is a complete jerk, Maya declared, pouring generous glasses of red wine. Who lies about being a billionaire? Apparently Isaac Thompson, Olivia said bitterly. Maya pulled out her phone, scrolling through articles. Okay, but look at this. There are dozens of stories about him turning down publicity, refusing to do interviews, avoiding the social scene. He is known for being intensely private. And look at this interview from 2 years ago. She handed Olivia the phone, and Olivia read reluctantly. The article was titled, "The Reluctant Billionaire," and detailed Isaac's reputation for avoiding the spotlight. His insistence on being involved in actual manufacturing rather than just sitting in boardrooms. His habit of showing up unannounced at his factories to work alongside regular employees. He is quoted here saying his biggest regret is that his wealth makes it impossible to have normal relationships, Maya pointed out. That everyone wants something from him. So I am supposed to feel sorry for him. Olivia handed back the phone. Poor billionaire, so misunderstood. I am not saying you should forgive him, Maya said carefully, but maybe try to understand why he did it. It sounds like he has been burned badly before. Olivia wanted to stay angry, but Maya's words kept echoing in her head over the following days. She found herself Googling Isaac obsessively, reading every article she could find. The picture that emerged was of a man who had inherited enormous wealth and responsibility at a young age, who had transformed his family's company while maintaining his privacy fiercely, who gave anonymously to dozens of charities, but refused to attend galas or society events. There was one article about how he had shut down one of his factories for a week to install better safety equipment after a minor accident, despite the massive financial loss. Another about how he had personally paid for the college education of every child of employees who had been laid off during a restructuring. These were not the actions of a man playing games with people's emotions. 2 weeks after their fight, Olivia received a call from the gallery director, Mrs. Chen. asking her to come in for a meeting. Olivia assumed it was about scheduling her next exhibition and was shocked when Mrs. Chen told her that an anonymous buyer wanted to commission a series of paintings for a new office building, with a budget of $200,000. $200,000, Olivia repeated faintly. That cannot be real. It is very real, Mrs. Chen smiled. The buyer specifically requested you. They saw your work and were very impressed. This could launch your career, Olivia. Olivia knew immediately who the anonymous buyer was. Isaac. It had to be Isaac, trying to help her from a distance, trying to fix things with money. She was furious all over again. Olivia marched directly to Thompson Industries headquarters, a gleaming glass tower downtown. She had to fight her way past several assistants, but eventually found herself in front of a severe-looking woman who identified herself as Isaac's executive assistant. "I need to see Isaac Thompson," Olivia said firmly. "Now." "Mr. Thompson does not take unscheduled meetings," the assistant replied coolly. "Tell him Olivia Walsh is here. Tell him if he does not see me right now, I am going to make a scene in this very expensive lobby." The assistant's expression flickered with surprise, but she picked up her phone. A moment later, she nodded toward the elevator. "Top floor." The elevator ride felt endless. Olivia's heart pounded and she tried to hold onto her anger, but underneath it was something more complicated. Fear, hope, longing. The doors opened directly into an enormous office with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Isaac stood by the windows, his back to her, wearing an expensive suit that made him look like a stranger. "I did not commission those paintings," he said without turning around. "What?" Isaac turned to face her, and Olivia was struck by how tired he looked. There were dark circles under his eyes, and his face was drawn. "I did not commission the paintings, Olivia. I made one phone call to Mrs. Chen 2 months ago, before any of this happened, telling her I knew a developer who might be interested in emerging artists for a new project. I gave her the contact information, and that was it. I have not spoken to her or anyone else about you since you told me to leave." "Oh." Olivia felt her anger deflating. "Then who?" "Probably David Mercer. He is the developer I connected Mrs. Chen with, and he has excellent taste. He must have seen your work and genuinely wanted to commission you." Isaac's smile was sad. "Your talent speaks for itself, Olivia. You do not need me or my money to succeed." They stared at each other across the expanse of his office, and Olivia felt tears threatening again. "Why did you lie to me?" "Because I was already falling in love with you," Isaac said simply. "That first night at the gallery, the way you talked about your work, the passion and vulnerability in your paintings. I knew I was in trouble, and I could not stand the thought of you looking at me the way everyone else does, like a dollar sign instead of a person." "You did not give me a chance," Olivia said, her voice breaking. "You just assumed I would be like everyone else. You are right." Isaac moved toward her slowly, stopping a few feet away. "I was a coward. I have been hurt before badly, and I let that fear control me. But Olivia, everything else was real. Every conversation, every moment, every feeling. I love you. I am completely, hopelessly in love with you. The man you got to know, that is who I actually am. The suits and the office and the money, that is just the cage I live in." "You made me doubt everything," Olivia whispered. "Every memory, every moment we shared, I keep wondering what else you lied about. Nothing else. I swear to you, nothing else." Isaac's eyes were bright with unshed tears. "Ask me anything. I will tell you the complete truth, no matter what it is." Olivia thought about it, about all the questions she could ask, but there was only one that really mattered. "Do you actually love me? Or am I just some escape fantasy from your billionaire life?" "I love you more than I have ever loved anyone," Isaac said fiercely. "You are not an escape. You are the first real thing I have had in my life in years. When I am with you, I am not Isaac Thompson, the CEO. I am just Isaac, a man who cannot paint to save his life but loves watching you create. A man who would give up every dollar to his name if it meant you would trust me again." "Do not be dramatic," Olivia said, but her lips twitched slightly. "You cannot buy me back, Isaac. That is not how this works. I know." Isaac ran a hand through his hair, messing it up in the way she found so endearing. "So tell me how it does work. Tell me how to fix this. I will do anything." Olivia moved to the windows, looking out over the city. From this high up, everything looked small and manageable. "I need time," she said finally. "And I need you to be honest with me about everything from now on. No more omissions, no more half-truths. If we are going to try this, I need to know all of you. The billionaire CEO and the man who loves art, both parts. I can do that." Isaac stood beside her, careful not to touch. "I want to do that." "Tell me something true," Olivia said. "Something you have never told anyone." Isaac was quiet for a long moment. "I hate being rich," he said finally. "I hate the isolation and the suspicion and the way money turns every relationship into a transaction. When my parents died and I inherited everything, I felt like I was drowning in gold. It is not real, Olivia. None of it feels real. But you do. The way you look at the world, the way you find beauty in ordinary moments, the way you care so fiercely about your art even when it is terrifying, that is real. You make me feel human again." Olivia felt something crack open in her chest. She turned to face him, seeing the vulnerability in his eyes, the fear that she might walk away. "I do not care about your money," she said quietly, "but I need to be able to trust you. You can." Isaac caught her hand carefully, his thumb brushing over her knuckles. "I know I have to earn that back, but I will spend every day proving it to you if you let me." "You hurt me," Olivia said, needing him to understand. "You made me feel foolish and small. I know, I am so sorry." Isaac brought her hand to his lips, kissing it gently. "I was trying to protect myself, but I hurt the person I care most about instead. That is unforgivable. But I am asking you to forgive me anyway, because I cannot imagine my life without you in it." Olivia studied his face, seeing the sincerity there, the pain. She thought about all their moments together, sorting through them for signs of deception. But the truth was, Isaac had been genuine in all the ways that mattered. He had listened to her, supported her art, made her laugh, held her when she cried about her father. The feelings had been real, even if the circumstances had been false. "I cannot just go back to the way things were," Olivia said. "That version of us was built on a lie." "Then we will build something new," Isaac said. "Something honest. Let me show you my real life, all of it. The good and the complicated and the parts I usually hide from everyone." Over the next few months, Isaac did exactly that. He brought Olivia to board meetings and factory tours, letting her see every aspect of his world. She met his employees and saw how they respected him, how he knew many of them by name and asked about their families. She attended one of the charity galas he usually avoided, watching him navigate the crowd with practiced ease while keeping her close by his side, making it clear she was important to him. In return, Olivia let Isaac deeper into her world. He came to her art classes regularly, befriended her students, and even started taking private lessons from her. He was terrible at painting but enthusiastic, and watching him concentrate so seriously on terrible watercolor, sunsets made her fall in love with him all over again. "You were right about this being who you really are," Olivia said one evening as they worked side by side in her studio apartment. Isaac had insisted on keeping his penthouse, but he spent most nights with her in her tiny space, cooking dinners in her cramped kitchen and helping her clean brushes after long painting sessions. "What do you mean?" Isaac looked up from his canvas, where he was attempting to paint her portrait with limited success. The CEO stuff, the money, that is what you do, but this is who you are. Olivia gestured to him sitting in old jeans, paint smeared on his cheek, completely content in her modest apartment. A man who values real connection over wealth. A man who would rather spend his evening in a cramped studio than his luxury penthouse. This is the best evening I could imagine, Isaac said seriously, because you are here. They were learning each other again, building trust slowly and carefully. Isaac showed Olivia his financial statements, explaining his investments and his charitable giving. He introduced her to his uncle, the only family he had left, even though their relationship was strained. He answered every question she asked, no matter how uncomfortable, with complete honesty. Olivia found herself softening, the hurt fading into understanding. She saw how isolated Isaac's life had been, how his wealth had become a barrier between him and genuine human connection. She understood why he had lied, even as she maintained that it had been wrong. 6 months after their reunion, Isaac took Olivia to one of his factories, a sprawling facility where they manufactured industrial equipment. He showed her the production lines, introducing her to workers, explaining the processes. At the end of the tour, he brought her to a private office that had been converted into an art studio. "What is this?" Olivia looked around in wonder at the natural lighting, the professional easels, the shelves of high-quality supplies. "This is for you," Isaac said, "if you want it. I know you love your studio apartment and I would never ask you to give that up, but I thought maybe you might like a larger workspace, somewhere you could take on bigger projects." "Isaac." Olivia turned to him, overwhelmed. "This is too much." "It is not." Isaac came to stand beside her. "Your art matters, Olivia. It deserves proper space and proper materials. Let me support your passion, not as an obligation or charity, but because I believe in what you create." He paused, then added quietly, "And because I want to be part of your success, not funding it, but witnessing it. Celebrating it with you." Olivia kissed him then, pouring all her feelings into it. When they broke apart, she was crying. "I love you," she said. "The real you. All the complicated, wealthy, wonderful parts of you." "I love you too," Isaac murmured against her hair. "Thank you for giving me another chance. Thank you for seeing past the money to the person underneath." That summer, Olivia had her first major exhibition at a prestigious gallery downtown. The show sold out, with legitimate buyers paying impressive prices for her work. Isaac attended the opening wearing a simple suit, staying quietly by her side rather than drawing attention to himself. When a journalist asked if he was Olivia Walsh's boyfriend, he smiled and said yes, nothing more, respecting her night. "How does it feel?" Isaac asked as they left the gallery that night, her hand tucked into his. "Surreal," Olivia admitted. "Like maybe I am actually going to make it as an artist." "You already have made it," Isaac corrected gently. "You were always talented enough. The world is just finally catching up." A year after they reunited, Isaac proposed. He did it simply in her studio apartment, no elaborate production or expensive ring initially. He just got down on one knee while she was cleaning brushes and said, "Olivia Walsh, you are the most genuine, talented, beautiful person I have ever known. You make me want to be better, more honest, more present. Will you marry me?" "Yes," Olivia said without hesitation, pulling him to his feet and kissing him. "Yes, absolutely yes." They were married 6 months later in a small ceremony at the same gallery where they had met. Olivia wore a simple dress she had picked out herself, and Isaac wore the same jacket he had been wearing that rainy night when he walked into her life. Instead of expensive flowers, Olivia's paintings decorated the space, telling the story of their relationship through color and light. "I cannot believe we almost did not happen," Olivia said during their first dance, swaying to soft music while their closest friends and family watched. "We always would have happened," Isaac said confidently. "Maybe not exactly this way, but somehow. You were worth any risk, any vulnerability. I knew that from the first moment you let me into that gallery. Even when you were lying about your identity," Olivia teased gently. "I was not lying about the important things," Isaac insisted. "I was not lying when I said your art was remarkable. I was not lying when I said I was falling for you. Those were the truths that mattered." "You are lucky you are charming," Olivia said, but she was smiling. "I am lucky you are forgiving," Isaac corrected, "and patient, and willing to love a complicated man who made terrible decisions out of fear." "You are not that complicated," Olivia said. "You are just a man who wanted to be loved for himself, not his money. I understand that now." 2 years into their marriage, Olivia received a commission to create a massive mural for a new children's hospital. It was her biggest project yet, and she threw herself into it with Isaac's full support. He would come by the hospital in the evenings after work, still in his suit, and help her mix paints or hold ladders, completely unconcerned about ruining expensive clothes. "You know, you could just hire assistants," Isaac pointed out one night as he helped her clean up. "I could," Olivia agreed, "but I like when you help me. It feels like we are creating something together." "We are," Isaac said, gesturing to the colorful underwater scene taking shape on the hospital wall. "You are creating art that will bring joy to sick children. I am creating the memory of working beside my talented wife on something meaningful. That is better than any business deal I have ever closed." When the mural was finished, the hospital held a small dedication ceremony. Olivia stood before the wall of sea creatures and coral reefs, surrounded by children in hospital gowns who gazed at her work with wonder. Isaac stood in the back watching her shine, his heart so full it ached. "That is my wife," he told the nurse standing beside him, unable to keep the pride from his voice. "She is very talented," the nurse agreed. "She is everything," Isaac said simply. 3 years into their marriage, Olivia discovered she was pregnant. She told Isaac by painting a tiny canvas, just a simple image of a man and woman holding hands with a small figure between them. She left it on his desk at home with no explanation. Isaac found it when he came home from work that evening. He stared at the painting for a long moment, then found Olivia in her studio, painting as always. "Is this real?" He held up the small canvas, his voice shaking. "Very real," Olivia confirmed, setting down her brush. "We are having a baby, Isaac." He crossed the room in 3 strides, lifting her up and spinning her around, laughing and crying at the same time. "We are having a baby," he repeated, wonder in his voice. "You and me, a family. I hope they get your determination and my creativity," Olivia said when he finally set her down. "I hope they get your kindness and genuine heart," Isaac countered, "and maybe not my tendency toward dramatic deception." "You are never going to live that down, are you?" Olivia laughed. "Probably not," Isaac admitted. "But it led me to you, so I cannot entirely regret it, even if it was wrong and stupid and nearly cost me everything that matters." Their daughter, Elena, was born on a snowy January morning. She had Isaac's dark hair and Olivia's expressive eyes, and from the moment she entered the world, she had both her parents completely wrapped around her tiny fingers. Isaac was a devoted father, taking paternity leave and ignoring the raised eyebrows from his board of directors. He got up for midnight feedings, changed diapers, and walked the floors with Elena when she was fussy. Watching him cradle their daughter, singing off-key lullabies, Olivia fell in love with him all over again. "You are good at this," Olivia said one night, watching Isaac rock Elena back to sleep. "I had no idea I could love someone this much," Isaac murmured, looking down at their daughter. I thought what I felt for you was the limit, but this is different, bigger somehow." "Not bigger," Olivia corrected gently. "Just different. We created her together, Isaac. She is the physical proof of our love." As Alina grew, their home filled with laughter and chaos. Olivia set up a studio in their house, a compromise between her beloved apartment studio and Isaac's penthouse. She painted while Alina napped, creating new works that reflected her joy and contentment. Isaac scaled back his hours at work, determined not to miss the important moments of his daughter's life. "My uncle asked about succession planning today," Isaac told Olivia one evening while they gave Alina a bath. "He thinks I should be grooming someone to take over eventually." "What do you want?" Olivia asked, making silly faces at Alina. "I want this," Isaac said, gesturing to their bathroom, to their daughter splashing in the tub, to Olivia with paint still under her fingernails. "I want to build a life that is not consumed by work. I want to be present for Alina growing up. I want to wake up next to you every morning and still feel grateful that you forgave me." "You have been making up for that lie for 5 years now," Olivia pointed out. "At some point, you have to forgive yourself." "I will forgive myself when I stop imagining what I would have lost if you had not given me another chance," Isaac said seriously. "You and Alina, this life we built together, it is everything. The money, the company, none of that compares." On their 5th wedding anniversary, Isaac took Olivia back to the gallery where they had met. Mrs. Chen had helped him arrange a private viewing, and the walls were covered with Olivia's paintings from over the years. The stormy seascape he had bought that first night hung in the center, surrounded by newer works that showed her evolution as an artist. "This is where it started," Isaac said, standing in the empty gallery with Olivia. "5 years ago, I walked in here soaking wet and terrified that I would never find real love. And then I saw your paintings and I saw you, and everything changed." "You were lying about your identity," Olivia reminded him, but she was smiling. "I was lying about my circumstances," Isaac corrected. "But I was telling the truth about my feelings. I fell in love with you that night, Olivia, before I even knew it was happening. That is why I panicked and created that whole false persona. Because I knew you were important, and I could not stand the thought of losing you before I even had you." "It was a stupid plan," Olivia said fondly. "Incredibly stupid," Isaac agreed. "But it brought me here to this moment with you. And I would do it all again, even the painful parts, if it meant ending up exactly where we are." Olivia kissed him there in the gallery, surrounded by her art, by the visual history of their love story. "I forgive you," she said against his lips. "Completely, for all of it. You gave me the life I did not even know I wanted. You gave me the only life worth living," Isaac murmured back. As they left the gallery that night, walking hand in hand into the cool evening air, Olivia thought about that rainy night 5 years ago when a soaking wet stranger had walked into her exhibition. She had been alone and discouraged, questioning every choice that had led her to that moment. She never could have imagined that the man dripping water on the gallery floor would become her husband, her partner, the father of her child. Life was strange and unpredictable, and sometimes people lied because they were afraid of losing something precious before they even fully understood what they had found. But love, real love, could survive deception and hurt and rebuild itself into something even stronger. Isaac had lied about his identity, but he had told the truth about everything that mattered. And in the end, that truth was enough to build a lifetime on.